Now, still in Jos, stakeholders in the education sector and parents in Jos, the Plateau state capital, have raised concerns that the rising cost of acquiring education in Nigeria will affect knowledge acquisition in the country. According to them, the impact will not only affect the learning process, but also the overall development of the country. Ado Musa completes the report.
The rising cost of education in Nigeria has become a pressing national issue, affecting all levels of learning, from primary to tertiary institutions. Many families are struggling to afford school fees, textbooks, and other essential learning materials, leaving children at risk of being sent home.
Really, the cost of education is affecting the children directly. Why? Because if you look at the learning material, the price of learning material is very high now. Parents are not be able now to buy the material for students.
As a parent, I think it is beyond comparison, because let me just take this to save our time. My elder sister was complaining last year that her first child, that she bought books, Macmillan, that book that is about, I think, 190-something thousand naira, just for her first child. And do you know what? They said the second child cannot use that book. So don't you think that is a serious problem in Nigeria?
We cannot, this 3 square meal, we cannot get it. And talk more of paying our children's school fees. That is why sometimes you see them sending our children away from the school. And sometimes when they send them away from the school, their life is at risk, because we don't know where they go. Some of them don't even come home. They follow company or friends.
The parents are not having enough to pay the school fees and other aspects of life.
School principals and proprietors in Jos attribute the high cost of education to rising operational expenses, inflation, and inadequate funding for the sector.
Actually, if you want to maintain or manage school, at least you need to pay heavily. I mean, the staffing, maintaining the infrastructure, maintaining the school in general. So this, if you want to compare it with the level of education today and the schools, so you have to charge a bit higher.
Let me cite an instance with the production of, maybe, let me call it locally decks. The decks one we use in the past is not more than 10,000 naira. But today, for a school, or for one to produce a decks, costing almost 60,000 to 70,000 naira per one.
Emmanuel Dang, a lecturer at the University of Jos, warns that the rising cost of education will have far-reaching consequences for the nation's development.
When people are becoming disenchanted with the educational system, it means that the future is going to be very, very dangerous, going to be very dicey, because we are breeding a generation that will come up that may not have the requisite knowledge in order to run the entire system, so everything will crumble. So this is a very serious pandemic issue.
Stakeholders insist that unless the government steps in to address the rising cost, the future of quality education for Nigeria's next generation may be at risk.
Well, the implication is that in the near future, certainly we may be graduating quacks. I mean, in all various fields, quack teachers, quack doctors, and whether we like it or not, these students must be the teachers of our children, the doctors of our own children, or in the near future.
I want to appeal to the government to look at their own side and see how they can be aiding them. Because any individual who operates a school today, if really you want to meet up with the standards and you don't have the means, there is a problem there.
Just a brief look at the 2025 budget that was presented by the president last year, a budget of over 45 trillion naira. And when you check into that particular budget, you discover that less than 3.5 trillion is what was allocated to education. Now, looking at it in line with what we want to achieve, you will discover that we have less than 6% of the budget going to education, in which the UNESCO have as a benchmark that not less than 26% of budget should be allocated to education.
The federal government has repeatedly assured Nigerians of its commitment to improving the standard of living. But for parents in Jos and beyond, the plea remains clear: subsidize education to give every child a chance at quality learning. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.